Serse is a romantic comedy, which is unusual for Handel. I mean, most of his operas were about magic islands or dark deeds of heroic warriors. And this is a piece he wrote at the very end of his operatic career. And like all good romantic comedies, it combines high farce with really deep, moving emotions. And he does this in a way that's almost looking forward to Mozart, I think. You could say it's sort of his Così fan tutte. Ombra mai fu it's an interesting one. I mean, can you imagine actually starting your opera with a piece like this? You imagine that you'd save it for some big climactic moment. And when people know that music, they think it's something incredibly profound, even if they don't understand the Italian. And of course, it's actually just a short little introduction aria where Xerxes is praising a plane tree of all things. And in fact, he's mocked for it almost immediately afterwards by Romilda. But as in all the best Handel, it's so simple and yet touches us in a way that we can't really explain. And to me, that's the best kind of being moved, when you don't know why. It actually expresses something that can't be put into words. I think this is an interesting piece because in traditional opera seria, the serious Italian opera that Handel had been writing, everything was about this form called the da capo aria, this idea of having a sentence followed by another sentence, followed by the same sentence as the beginning sentence again. And there's a kind of rigidity about that. In this piece, he is much more kind of populist. There aren't actually that many da capo arias. A lot of them are just simple, straight-through arias. A lot of them do actually make the action go forward. I would say some of the best music is reserved for Xerxes. He is a very interesting character. He's a tyrant. He's very ruthless. He's quite childlike in some ways, both in the way he tries to woo Romilda. He's a kid who's used to getting everything his own way, but also childish in the way he turns against people like his brother, who he banishes from the court on a whim. And yet he's given these arias which time suddenly just slows down for a second, and he reflects on why he is the way he is. Well, I like to think that these Handel projects, which happen once a year, are in a way a kind of snapshot of the best young Baroque singers around. Actually, not even just Baroque singers, period. All these people to do a Handel opera, you have to not only just sing it, you have to be able to act it. You have to be able to feel the harmony, the rhythm, the emotion, and also, more importantly than any of this, you actually have to act as an ensemble. So in this piece particularly, the interactions between the characters are so important. And so I'm always trying to get singers who can do that. Some of them are people we've collaborated already on the Handel projects, people like Lucy Crowe and Mary Bevan, Paula Murray, Neil Davis. But we also have Emily D'Angelo joining us to sing Xerxes. Emily is someone I first met when she was a young artist in the Canadian Opera Company in Toronto, and have watched her and been amazed by her journey through all sorts of places, the Metropolitan Opera, Santa Fe, where she sang in Così with me. And I think she's just such an exciting young talent. Well, Handel's Xerxes was the first Handel opera I ever saw, and probably one of the first operas, period, that I ever saw at E&O in the 1990s. Fantastic Nick Heitner production with Anne Murray and Valerie Masterson, Chris Robson, Leslie Garrett, conducted by Charles Mackerras. And I was just so blown away by the piece, but also how something could be so formal in its construction and yet so flexible and so witty and so moving in the way in which the characters were portrayed, both dramatically and musically. And I ended up conducting that revival a few times, and then went to Munich and did another production there, which was in the repertoire. Again, a hugely successful production. And we've been doing these Handel pieces for 7 or 8 years now, and Xerxes was always there on my list of pieces to do, as long as we got a really, really fine cast to do it. And I think we've assembled that. Well, I think at the moment, given the troubled times we're living through, I think audiences want music that is accessible, appealing, tuneful, touching, and moving. And Handel has always done that. It's very simple music in some ways, but it's quite deceptive. The way it gets under your skin, the way you can sit and listen to it, not in a way that you need to fast forward the action. You have to buy into the fact that this is a real story being told in real time. But these characters are so like us, like people we know. Who hasn't fallen in love with the wrong person or been jealous of a sibling who's fallen in love with someone else that you want to be in love with? This is very, very human, very basic emotions, but told in such a delightful, funny, witty, profound way.